I'm assuming at this point you've started to wonder why I might be doing this. I would at least hope you had started to wonder. Well, the truth is, I couldn't think of an adequate joke involving Spoon the band. And my brain is so tired that it decided spoons, multiple spoons, was funny. Funny? Is it funny? Not funny? I didn't think so either. Boss says your joke isn't funny and you should stop now because it's not getting any funnier. Before I make bigger fool of myself with my sleep deprivation, let's go into an actual review of Spoon. That's right, the band with Britt Daniel, not the silver shiny instruments I've been trying to balance on myself badly. So this is Spoon. New album is called They Have My Soul. It's right here. Looks like it's a very shiny soul. Possessed. It's pretty sweet considering the artwork on the album is actually way shinier. Look at that. Like a lion inside of the Zelda game symbol. Anyway, Spoon, what can you say about them? They're one of the most consistent bands in the rock world today. They have never had a bad album. It's one of those few and proud clubs. They haven't ever had a bad album, and they've just always been Spoon. That's all there is to it. So let's go into some band history on them. Obviously, they're an American rock band formed in Austin, Texas. They're composed of Britt Daniel, lead vocalist, guitarist, songwriter, and main man. He's pretty much their everything. Jim Eno is on drums. Rob Pope is the bass guitar player, and keyboard and backing vocalist. Eric Harvey is the keyboard, guitar, percussion, and backing vocalist, and Alex Fischel is the keyboard guitar player. He was actually left from the band for a while, but is back just now for the newest album. So, I'm jumping ahead of myself, though. Anyway, the band was formed in late '93 by the lead singer, Britt Daniel, and the drummer, Jim Eno, after the two met as the members of the Alien Beats. The name Spoon was chosen in honor of the 1970s German avant-garde band Can, whose hit song Spoon was the theme song to the 1985 mover Das Messer, aka Jagged Edge, in the United States. Yep, there's some history that you would never, ever, ever know, but that's how they got the name. It's not at all to do with silverware. I didn't think it would. Seems a pretty lame story how you got a name. Spoon's first recording was the vinyl release of the EP Nefarious in May of 1994. In 95, they signed with Matador Records, and within a year, they released their first album, Telefono, in 1996. The album was met with mixed reviews, but, you know, it's their first album. I still think it's pretty good myself. Less than a year later, they released their EP, Soft Effects, which served as a nice distinctive transition from their weird rough edge to a normal Spoon sound we know and love today. It was actually at a club in Denton, Texas, in the aggro community when Ed Cooper of a local band, Maxine's Raiders, from whom Joshua Zarbo was playing bass at the time. Zarbo was invited to audition and made the band and is still there today, so that's pretty cool. They actually made Soft Effects and I guess they signed to Electrica Records in 1998. Though Electrica, the band, released a series of sneaks in May of '98. The album did not sell well as much as they had hoped, at least. Formally 4 months after the album released, Rob Lay quit his job and went to the week of the band dropping from the label. It was kind of a rough week for them. The album sold badly, they lost a band member, and angry with them, who had promised to stick with the band, Spoon recorded a vindictive yet humorous titled two-song concept entitled The Agony of Lafayette. So, anyway, after that, they went on to some major commercial success because most people know that No Spoon. They went from there to make Girls Can Tell, which was their 2001 record, followed by Kill the Moonlight in 2002, straight into Stranger Than Fiction 2006, and then we go into the big ones. That was known for the OC and Shameless, and then Give Me Fiction in 2005, which was huge. That was their big one, but for me, nothing matches 2007's Ga 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 Ga. Honestly, bad name, maybe, I don't know. Awesome album, seriously amazing. From there they went on to 2010 to make Transference, and to now, 2014 with They Have My Soul, or They Want My Soul. From there, let's pull up my review. So, we'll do this as quick as possible because I am exhausted, and you are exhausted of hearing me. This is one of the things that makes Spoon interesting, as I said, is they're a super, super conductive band. They make records, just amazing records. They're just brilliant at it. Britt Daniel's an amazing songwriter in general because, I mean, if you haven't noticed, Divine Fits came out with an album last year, maybe 2012, and it was amazing. Britt Daniel, again. The fact that none of the records sound the same is another incredible task, because not only are all the records great, but they aren't anything like each other. The only reason they just sound like Spoon, when you hear a Spoon song, it's like, oh, that's Spoon. But this album itself is important because the last album was good, but it was kind of sluggish and drab and boring compared to the usual fare that they do. And this was kind of like their coming-of-age revival story. They came back with a vengeance 4.5 years later. And it was a big deal because this album is really good. I think it's way better than Transference. I just really do. And it sounds inspired again. It helps that he came from the Define Fits project when he was writing there. It also helps that they hired new producers too. Joe Carvelli, who helped rejuvenate the Strokes' career with Angles, and David Friedman, who worked with Flaming Lips. So let's start. Rent I Pay is the opener of the album. It starts off with a snare drum and a very catchy guitar line. The thing about it is Britt Daniel's vocals are sharp and precise the whole song through, and it sort of oozes swagger. This is the kind of band that isn't afraid of sexying up their sound because it really helps here. I kind of compare it to the opening song off of AM by the Arctic Monkeys, Do I Want to Know? Because that's like the song that oozes sex appeal. And it's really, really good. Inside Out opens with a smooth synth line and sounds like nothing I've ever heard from Spoon before. It's more polished sound than the rest of the album, and I think it's a good album, but it's something good song. They could have never done it without the new producers. They help a lot here. Rainy Taxi is one of my favorite tracks from the album. I think it's one of the most layered songs on the album as well, in Radiohead's style. They lay down multiple simple guitar and synth lines across each other into a dense chaos. But once all the crazy guitar lines start playing, Britt Daniel soulfully sings over the top like nothing else is happening. It's just a great song, it really is. Do You sounds like nothing, I don't know, nothing like the song before it at all. It's just kind of exactly nothing. It's floating otherworldly synths. It's got this crazy underwater feel. Like some people I've heard said that it sounds like it was recorded like an underwater in a bubble. As crazy as that sounds. That's what it sounds like when you listen to the song. Knock 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 features more acoustic guitar than I have seen on the whole rest of the album. The guitar line is a very stop and start style to it, because on this album, I don't know what it is, but they try to work with silence. So when you're thinking about an album, you think about the music, but they make you think with the silence of it, because it's like you think there should be music here, and they just like da-na-na, da-na-na. So it makes you pay attention to the actual absence of sound. I think it's really interesting. I really do. The whole album is kind of like this because they work with it, but I think it's the biggest example is here. Outlier is the only song on the album that is not written by the main man, Britt Daniel, and it kind of sounds like it. It was written by keyboard player Fischl, who I announced just came back this year after being out of the band since 2005. It was sent to Daniel from there, and this song is a new wave song. It sort of sounds like more like a Depeche Mode song than a Spoon song, but it really works well with Britt singing over it, so I think it's a really good song. They Want My Soul, the title track, is one of the best songs on the album. It's got a very hypnotic feel to it, and it's just a mix of synths and guitars, but at the same time, the vocal line is absolutely perfect. It really just fits with so well, it's scary. They switch between hypnotic synths and jarring silence so quickly that it makes you just take notice of it. And this is exactly what Spoon wants, people to pay attention to the actual sound, aside from the music. I Just Don't Understand is actually a cover of Anne Margaret's I Just Don't Understand. Who knew? It's a very sleazy cover of it, though. It's a layered, sleazy cover. It's got this bluesy, grimy, like dreamy sequence all at once, which is crazy to think about. But I think it's, again, thanks a lot to the new producers and in the intense layers. It's got a tense layer that switches off so quickly from synth to guitar to silence. It's just great. Let Me Be Mine it opens with a very punchy, sharp guitar line and a very tongue-in-cheek song about romance and letting you be your own lover. It's a great example. They use layers and switch between synths again here and guitars, but they do it without it feeling jarring or overwhelming, which is truly incredible when you hear it. I think, at least, because you don't notice. The next song is my absolute favorite. New York Kiss, the final song on the album, is my personal favorite because it's more of a synth-driven than guitar song, but it's just dreamy and hypnotic, and it personally leaves me wanting more. To me, this is about the band that's found new life through producers, side projects, and time away. It gives them the most varied-sounding album that they've ever had, which for Spoon is a really big deal because they always have a very varied sound. Still, all it sounds very much like a band on top of their game. And even though it's not my favorite album, that honor goes to Gaga Gaga Gaga. I still give it 4.5 stars because out of 5 because it's a really good album. Every entry in the Spoon catalog is good. They're one of the most dependable bands in music. Check it out immediately. I'd recommend, if you go through, Rent I Pay is a really good song. Rainy Taxi, I really like. They Want My Soul, and my personal favorite is New York Kiss. So 4.5 stars. Thanks for listening. I'll be back next week with something else.